Cold opened midnight to 0:45. 2 minutes. That's all it takes for a modern jet to fall 29,000 feet. On March 21, 2022, China Eastern Flight 5735 did exactly that, a near vertical nosedive at over 600 miles per hour. No distress call. No warning. Just 132 souls, a Boeing 737-800 worth $100 million, and a mystery that's haunted aviation ever since. The black boxes were recovered, but the truth? Locked inside a government report that won't see daylight until 2026. But when it does, it might just rewrite everything we know about what's safe in the skies. The stakes 0:45 to 3 o'clock. Why should you care about a crash from 2022 in 2024? Because the final investigation report, expected in just 2 years, could send shockwaves through the airline industry and your next flight. This was a Boeing 737-800, the workhorse of the skies. Over 4,000 are still flying today. If investigators find a mechanical flaw, it could ground fleets worldwide. If they blame the pilots, it would reignite the darkest debate in aviation: cockpit intentional crashes. Either way, the 2026 report isn't just about one plane, it's about the trust we place in the technology that carries us 7 miles above the Earth. China Eastern 5735 disappeared from radar on a clear day, with an experienced captain and a first officer with over 30,000 hours combined. The plane had no prior maintenance issues. And yet, radar data shows it dropped at a rate that defies physics, a descent so fast that parts of the aircraft likely tore off before impact. This isn't just another crash statistic. It's a conundrum that split experts. Was it a catastrophic failure hidden in the 737's design, or something even darker inside the cockpit? The preliminary report by China's aviation authority said there was no evidence of a mechanical failure. But that's common early on, they haven't ruled it out. And the full analysis of the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder is sealed until the final report. Why the delay? Investigations normally take 2 years, but this one was extended. Some say China is burying uncomfortable details. Others whisper about a defect in the 737-800's rudder system that Boeing thought it fixed decades ago. Whatever the truth, the 2026 deadline isn't just bureaucratic, it's a countdown to accountability. The build 3 to 7 o'clock. Let's rewind to the day it happened. March 21, 2022. Flight 5735 departs Kunming at 1:11 p.m. local time, bound for Guangzhou. It's a routine 2-hour domestic hop. The Boeing 737-800, registration B1791, is 6 years old, barely middle-aged for a commercial jet. Captain Yang Hongda is a veteran with 6,709 flight hours. First Officer Zhang Xingping has 31,769 hours, one of the most experienced in China Eastern's fleet. The weather is perfect. Nothing hints at disaster. At 14 hours 20 minutes and 43 seconds, cruising at 29,100 feet, the aircraft suddenly pitches into a steep dive. In less than 10 seconds, it loses over 5,000 feet. The descent rate reaches 31,000 feet per minute, that's vertical speed record territory. Passengers would have experienced negative G-forces, pinned to their seats or floating in terror. Then, incredibly, the plane climbs 1,300 feet, a momentary recovery. But it's not enough. It nosedives again, this time all the way to the ground in a mountainous region of Guangxi. Impact. Fire. Silence. A nearby security camera captured a blur of white falling vertically into the mountains. No glide, no attempt to pull up, just a missile. The wreckage was scattered over a deep crater, with the tail found kilometers away. This wasn't a typical crash. It was a deliberate act, or a complete loss of control. Within days, both black boxes were found, badly damaged but readable. The cockpit voice recorder, however, was severely compromised. The flight data recorder showed the control surfaces moved as expected, but what caused those moves? The preliminary report, released in July 2022, offered no cause, only facts, no weather issues, no hazardous materials, no radio call. It simply stated that the data was consistent with a steep, high-speed dive. Behind closed doors, theories erupted. The pilot suicide angle. China Eastern denied mental health issues, but stigma in Chinese aviation is immense. Pilots fear reporting psychological struggles. And the second dive, after a partial recovery, looked intentional to some experts. Yet, the first officer had decades of spotless service. What could compel such an act? Then, the mechanical angle. The 737-800's rudder power control unit had a dark history. In the 1990s, two 737s crashed under similar vertical dives, United 585 and US Air 427, killing 157 people. The culprit? A valve that could reverse rudder commands. Boeing redesigned it, but did they truly fix it? In 2019, a Ukrainian 737-800 experienced a similar uncommanded roll. It landed safely, but the incident raised new questions. If the rudder hardover issue resurfaced, it would explain the sudden dive, the recovery, then the final plunge as the system fought itself. But the Chinese authorities' silence feeds suspicion. Why extend the investigation to 2026? What are they hiding? Or are they simply waiting for Boeing analysis that could cost billions? The crisis, 7 to 10 o'clock. For the families of the 132 victims, 2026 isn't a news headline, it's the earliest they might see justice. Lawsuits are piling up against China Eastern and Boeing. But here's the crisis: if the final report points to pilot action, Boeing walks away clean, and the focus shifts to how airlines screen for mental health, a massive global overhaul. If it points to a mechanical fault, Boeing faces a catastrophe worse than the 737 MAX scandals. The 737-800 is the backbone of aviation, 5,000 delivered, over 700 million passengers carried. A design flaw could mean thousands of planes need immediate retrofits. The financial fallout? Tens of billions. The human cost? Unthinkable. Aviation insiders fear the worst. Some leaked data suggests the pilot's inputs on the control column were anomalous, meaning they might have pushed the nose down. Others note that the cockpit voice recorder, if it held a struggle or silence, would be the smoking gun. But China hasn't released it. Why? Perhaps to control the narrative. A pilot suicide would embarrass the government and the airline. A mechanical failure would dent China's booming aviation industry and its partnership with Boeing. So they wait. And the world waits with them. The 2026 report will be the moment of reckoning. It won't just be a document, it will be a verdict. And depending on what's inside, it could change how you board your next flight. Maybe the pilot you trust, or the plane beneath your feet, isn't as solid as you thought. The payoff, 10 to 11 o'clock. Flight 5735 is more than a tragic headline. It's a mirror reflecting the vulnerabilities in a system we take for granted. Every time you fly, you're betting on a chain of trust: engineers, pilots, regulators. This crash shattered that chain, and 2026 might show us exactly where it broke. Until then, the skies hide a secret, and 132 souls are waiting for the truth. CTA 11 to 12 o'clock. If you want to be among the first to know when that final report drops, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll be breaking it down the moment it's public. In the comments, tell me, do you think this was pilot suicide, a mechanical flaw, or something even more chilling? I read every theory. And if you're fascinated by aviation mysteries, watch our next video on the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, another closed book that's about to open. Thanks for watching, and remember, the truth isn't always where it lands. It's how it went down.